Bonjour, and welcome into The Cave, the podcast where we dive deep into song lyrics that resonate with our personal experiences. I am Julia, your host. In each episode, we take a closer look at a specific part of a song's lyrics, unpacking the emotions and stories they evoke, and connecting them to our own lives. Whether you're here to find comfort, understanding, or simply a shared moment of reflection, I'm glad you're here. Today, I am not alone because I am sitting here with Arash, who is actually an old colleague of mine. One day we were talking about this podcast. He was thinking how he could help me because he is also producing a podcast for the company he's working in. Talking about it, we just thought that his background and his story could be a very good topic. So, hello and welcome, Arash.
Hi, Julia. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Can you just introduce yourself a little bit?
My name is Arash. I am 28 and I am originally from Iran. I moved to Germany roughly 2019, first continuing my studies and doing my master's. Right now I am working as a social media specialist for an American-based company.
I'm not sure everyone knows where Iran is. What is the situation right now? So
Iran is a country based in Middle East, like to the border of Caspian Sea and to the south to the Persian Gulf, and also bordered with some other countries like Afghanistan, Iraq, Turkey, Azerbaijan, and many more.
And so this is actually what we are going to talk about now, because the first song that you chose to talk about is called Baraye by Shervin Hajipour. First of all, can you tell us what does Baraye mean?
Well, the literal translation of the word Baraye means for, and it does not mean much if you do not give context to it, but this song really picked up roughly 2 years ago. It resonated really a lot with the Iranian people at that time, and still it still resonates because it's portraying the current situation of Iran as a overall, and it is explaining what is happening in Iran.
And specifically the line for women, life and freedom. Can you tell us a bit more about this line?
For all of the non-Farsi speak listeners, it means Zan Zendegi Azadi, translates to woman, life, freedom. Roughly 2 years ago, we had a really, really bad situation in Iran. Like a really young lady was beaten up by the morality police, and this lady was hospitalized and after a few days has passed away. And I can say that was the start of a movement. That was a trigger, right? Like there was a lot piling up. There was a lot of suppression. There are a lot of women that actually are suffering every day in Iran. And also, I would say this song is going over that point, but also at the same time is covering a lot of different aspects and a lot of different points and sufferings which is happening in Iran. The situation during the last 40, 45 years, 50 years had really, really gotten worse. This song is going over a lot of points, which maybe we can dive in deeper a bit, and I can explain like why every line has such a big meaning.
Just to give a bit of context, Farsi is the language that you speak in Iran.
Farsi is officially the language of which we speak in Iran and the official language of the government, but there is a lot of controversy also going on in that regard. We have so many different ethnic backgrounds. As an example, I am from two different ethnicities. One of them from my father's side, he's from Azerbaijan region in Iran, which sounds really similar to the Azerbaijan, the country, which is lots of people actually, because they're talking the same language. And there are other people like the Kurds, the Arabs, and also the Fars, which are Persians. So my mother's side is the Persian side. So by luck or by any chance, like my dad decided to not teach me Azeri, or like some people call it Turkish. Farsi is my mother tongue and from my mother's side. So at the same time, I was lucky enough that to be able to learn the language Farsi, but I know a lot of people which actually are growing up in that ethnic backgrounds and groups. They are struggling with learning Farsi because, like, imagine both of parents are talking another language, and then suddenly they go to school and they have to talk Farsi out of nowhere.
Do you think is that why there is all this situation right now, because of all those ethnicities living together, and it might be hard?
Yeah, like it is partially the overall situation. I think regardless of which regime which we are talking about, like the previous regime or this one, none of them addressed the issues, or none of them tried to see through the eyes of different ethnic groups, which a leader or a government which wants to actually reign and be successful has to do. And yeah, I think it has also roots in this different ethnic backgrounds.
Coming back to all the protests who happened 2 years ago, it was triggered by the death of this woman. What was her name?
She was also Kurdish, but like I hope that I'm not mispronouncing her name, but like Mahsa Jina Amini. Jina is like her Kurdish name.
So she got arrested by the
morality police.
Morality police, exactly. And can you tell us a bit about this morality police? For what can we get arrested?
The morality police is there for different reasons, and mainly they are trying to overlook women's in generally in Iran. They do other stuffs as well. Like if someone is drunk, you are not allowed to be drunk in Iran. Like it's not legal. Those type of things, but mainly like you see them going after women's and their hijabs. One of the things has happened. It was that probably based on what we know is that her hijab was not to their standard, which can mean anything. Like even if you have your scarf in the middle of your head and like you have a bit of hair showing, it's not to their standard. So she got arrested. She was fighting against getting arrested, and they dragged her on the ground and to the van. And that was when she was not feeling okay afterwards. And then in the police station, it escalated and got worse.
So because she was fighting for her rights.
Yeah, exactly. Like fighting for basically being normal and trying to having a freedom which everyone should be able to have.
And so you said it mostly around women, but I think I've heard, maybe I'm wrong, that also men got arrested.
Yeah, you can get arrested. If you see a lady or a woman getting arrested, and as a man, you try to jump in and say, hey, no, like this is not right, or like let her go, leave her, something of sort, they can also arrest you. But also there are some other stupid laws, like men are not allowed to wear shorts, like sport shorts, like in public. You can wear that's the stupidest thing as well. Like on TV, you see football player that it's okay, but on the street, you are not allowed to as a man. Which nowadays, I don't think like the morality police really care about that as much as they do care about the hijab for women's. But yeah, like men also can get arrested in different scenarios.
Yeah, and so from what I understand, it's men when they come to the help of women. Yeah, so that's why in the song we can hear for all the girls who wish they were boys.
Yeah, and also because that has a bit of a deeper meaning. There is a lot of parts of these songs that they are open for your own interpretation, but that has a deeper meaning in our culture. I think it goes way back. I think that also correlates to other cultures, not only Iran. If we go back 100 years ago, the situation of women in US or some other parts, that's the same situation. Like the freedom generally that men had during or have even right now, it's not comparable with the freedom which women have. Yeah. And to say for all the girls that wish to be boys is the same, because like I can say an example from my friends and what I have seen, or like even my ex-girlfriend when I was dating back then in Iran, I was out till 4 a.m. going around having fun. My girlfriend at 9:30, she would have received like 20 different calls from the mom, from the dad, and every relative, family or whatever to say, hey, it's too late, come home. And there are good reasons about that, but also there are bad reasons. The good reasons is like the environment in Iran is not safe, okay? It's not as safe as Europe, but generally speaking, because boys tend to be a bit more bigger or muscular or whatever we want to call it, they get that freedom, that they get that extra freedom. Mm-hmm. So because like, imagine my dad, if would have called me like, hey, you have to be home, right? Like at 9:30. I said like, are you kidding me? What's going to happen to me? Like, is gonna someone kidnap me? Is it going to be someone assault me? Or what's going to be the point? But like for girls, of course, it is not the same situation. But this is an excuse, let's say, because we can make a safe environment. We can do that. But the government is not trying to do that. The parents also, they tend to be a bit more on the conservative side, which is changing really rapidly and really fast in Iran. But that is the reality. So they want to be boys because
it's just easier.
Let's say it's just easier to be boys from birth to...
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit like still teaching women not to get attacked or anything, and not teaching men or boys not to do it.
Yeah. It is that. And also there is a lot of different factors. If you have a community or if you have a group of people they have jobs, they have freedom, they have all of the needed things for living a good life, they do not gravitate towards such behaviors. Like it's a bit like also goes to the background. And as you said, it's about teaching mainly. But also if you even teach all of this, let's say like you have a really good education system and teach it, but then the society does not support to develop such an ecosystem, it's not going to work.
So you said this situation has been going on for maybe 50, 45 years. So you've always known it as it is.
So yes, it changes. It's fluid. It's not like that every day is like bad. Like it has improved a lot during the last couple of years. Improved in the sense that the regime also has come to realization, oh, shit, like if we want to survive like another 5 years, we have to let loose on some stuff.
Maybe we shouldn't kill our people.
Well, that's not a chance. They are gonna still do it. Like that's something which they can apparently not stop themselves doing because they enjoy it too much. Let's say, like that's a sarcastic comment, but yeah, no. But some people are gonna argue with me and say like, hey, like before this regime, everything was fine and great. In my opinion, if you ask me if I read a bit of history, what I have heard from my parents, no, it was not. Not that I'm saying like maybe it was better than what is right now, but there was a reason people made the revolution, right? Like it wasn't that everything was shining and paradise, and then someday like they woke up and I said like, oh, what we're gonna do today? I'll go make a revolution happen. So it was not like that, but I think maybe relatively based on what my parents are telling me and I read, maybe it was better a bit, but still not great.
Do you remember, or was there a time where you realized, because as a kid, maybe you don't realize it, but there was maybe an age where you were like, how in other countries we can do that and here we cannot, or that you realized how the situation was?
That was actually really, really early stage of my life. I grew up in different countries for a while. Like I grew up 4 or 5 years in Dubai, and then in Italy, Rome for 2 years, and then I'm here, Germany, living. And I think after I came back from Dubai, like I was like 5 years old. When I say came back, like my parents dragged me basically, but we came back to Iran as a family, and then I went to school over there. And the system in Dubai, it's a bit different from Iran, meaning that people start school a bit earlier on, and you can see basically the school which I was attending to, it's a mixed school. So like it.
Because it's not mixed schools in Iran.
No. It's not mixed school. We have two systems, like we have public and private, but neither of them are mixed. So you can have private schools for boys, private school for girls, public school for boys, public school for girls. And then I was like, why? Like, what's happening here? And then like, oh no, like because my parents explained to me like back when I was like 5, 6 years old. Oh yeah, no, it is like this here without more explanation. And because during your kindergarten time, it's mixed still. And then like after the 6, when you're like going to the first year of elementary school, suddenly it stops to be mixed. And then in the uni again, it's mixed. So then I went first year of elementary school, I was in Iran. And then my parents, they were, still are, quite adventurous. So they decided, no, we don't like it here. Let's move to Italy. Maybe a good decision at that time. And I studied.
How old were you?
Here, 7.
Okay, so between Dubai and Italy, you stayed like 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. Like 5 years, like 7 roughly. And then the second year of elementary school and the third year of elementary school, I was in Italy. And that was also another fun story because like my uncle lived in Italy for a long time. And then his wife was part of a church and a community, and this community had a private school, and
a Christian church.
Yeah, and he got me into that school, and imagine like my brain was set for all the religious stuff, but in Islamic way, like let's say, and here was completely Catholic. Even my teacher was a nun. So then I was going to this school and I was like thinking with myself, okay, this is a change. And then I think when I came back again, like when I was 10 roughly, like for the 4th year of elementary school, we came back to Iran and it was disaster. I hated it. Like still, I think until I turned 18 and went to uni, I hated every single year of that time period because it's completely two different worlds. And I missed my friends in Italy. I missed the people. I missed the food. I missed everything. And I was seeing myself and thinking with myself and saying, the first thing which I'm going to do when I'm going to turn 18, like back then when I was young, I was like, I'm going to go back. Or like, I'm going to put pressure on my dad, like to send me back, something like that. But it didn't happen, of course. Like I grew out of it, but like eventually I went to uni, and then in uni, things got better. You get a bit more freedom from your parents' side. It's like, okay, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. And that makes it a bit easier. Like you stay out with friends and you drink like alcohol, although you're not supposed to, but you do all of those stuff and you're like, okay, here is not half bad. But then once again, when you move to another country which has relatively a lot more to offer, guys, that was not living what I had there.
Did you actually feel like at home in Iran, or?
That's a good question.
Because
no,
you say how you hated it, but I guess
did not feel like home. But you know what's the weirdest part? The weirdest part is that in 2021 was the last time when I went back home, and then it felt like home.
like coming back home.
Yeah, it was like, I left all of this and I miss it. But I know I cannot come back. That was painful, a painful realization. But you know, when you're leaving your country, you also have that same experience.
It's a bit of a different situation because it's just right across the border, bad political situation. But
no, but like you're still yourself an expat. Like at the end of the day, you are living in another different country, another different culture, another language completely. But still, when I went back, I was like, miss my family, I miss my friends, I miss speaking the language which I am most comfortable with. And I was like, yeah, but you know what? At the end of the day, there is no future here for me. And that was the saddest part. But one thing also I realized, everything is perspective, right? Like some people are living in Iran and they're super happy. Some people immigrate and still they're not happy. So it's all perspective. And also I realized it on that trip.
Do you still have family and friends in Iran?
My mom and dad, they are not in Iran anymore. They're in Turkey, living in Istanbul with my brother. But relatives, let's say, like my uncle, aunt, the other ones are there still. And friends, tons of them, which still I'm in contact with and talk with them on regular basis.
If you didn't have anyone in Iran left, would it be somewhere you would go back to and feel at home? Or because I'm trying to look for what made you feel at home. Is it the people? Is it?
Well, it is the people. Of course, it is a big portion of it, the people, but also it's not the people, right? Like it is the culture itself. It's the food. This is funny. I went back. There is this cake for all of the listeners. They know Titap. It's an Iranian brand. Of course, I think it's a replica of another European brand, whatever. And I grew up with this one. And strangest part was like, I here had tons of different chocolate milks as an example, but none of them did taste the same as there. Because maybe it's a memory which I correlate that specific taste with the specific memory. But yeah, like as an example, that also reminds me of Iran. That makes it home in that sort. Because I went there, the first thing which I did in the supermarket, and I bought the chocolate milk and the cake, and I was like, that's life.
That's
like,
home.
That's home, yeah.
I don't know if we say that in other countries, but there is this French author who's called Marcel Proust, and he wrote a book, and in it he's talking about when he's eating Madeleine, which is also a cake, that it takes him back to his childhood. And so every time you have something that takes you back to your childhood, you could call it your Madeleine of Proust. So you would say this is definitely.
Well, now you're saying it. I remember the Ratatouille cartoon. Like there was this critique. He went to the restaurant and had a portion of this specific, really famous French food. You know probably the name. They basically cut the vegetables in thin pieces and they...
it's a bit of a controversy in France because they say it's a ratatouille when it's actually a tian. But yeah.
Okay, yeah.
This is why the movie is called Ratatouille.
Okay, yeah. So basically he has that one and it goes back to his childhood. So yeah, it is like that.
You said you still have a lot of friends in Iran, a bit of relatives. And we could see on the news that it was pretty violent 2 years ago in Iran. And how did you feel at that time being away?
Mainly, I felt useless. Like, although I think I should not have felt that way, but everyone is a human being, right? Like, I felt useless, and it was one of the worst feelings ever, because I was thinking with myself, how can I help? How can I basically go on with life and try to be useful? But honestly, you cannot do much. And you are like this, okay, should I fly back? Should I go like participate? But then you're like, yeah, if I do that,
Dangerous. And
yeah, it's dangerous. But then you think like this is a really hard question to answer, because also, yes, dangerous, but also it's dangerous for the people which are doing the protest over there. So why I am the privileged one and the lucky one being here, and they have to do the work which I have to also help doing. So it's not that only dangerous, but like then and there you realize, okay, life, it's such a weird thing, and the perspective which you get throughout the years, this is not fair, honestly. Like I'm not gonna say this regarding any other expat from Iran coming here. It's not fair towards them, but you feel like, oh yeah, like I came here, it put so much effort, I built this life, now I go back, like there is no future, I don't know, on all of these uncertainties. But if you want, you can bleep this, but like life is a bitch, like literally, because what is the differentiator factor between me and being lucky and being here sitting right now with you and the people which actually died there?
Yeah, I get it. Also, you were not useless, because I think you went to protest in Germany and to raise awareness around that. And that was also important that international media could talk about it.
Yeah, like let's say it like that, and at least make myself.
You tried to do your part, and
yeah, useful, really useful.
Anyway, I don't think any individual can change something, and it's the whole collective efforts back there in Iran or here in Germany, where people also protested. And
yeah, that's true. It was amazing. Like I think I talked about it with you, about the Berlin protests which happened. It was huge, and everyone was like saying, oh, it's going to be a few thousand, but like when it was like, okay, we don't have official counts, but like let's say 80,000, they said.
So it was not only people from Iran.
Yeah, like the Berlin protest, like it was a huge amount of people from all over the world, but I would say no one from Iran, or rather less people than Iran, because it usually, if you are going back to Iran, you would not risk it, because like they can immediately arrest you.
To be seen in those protests.
Yeah, and they can immediately arrest you at the airport. So yeah, at least that's how I think, or like the people which I am interacting with thinks.
And is it even dangerous for you if you come back to talk about this here and to say the things that you've said?
I was thinking about it actually. Like if we, like this podcast, like this episode, like hits like millions, like let's say, like it becomes super popular, and I'm like, do I want this actually? But yeah, I think the point is there is so much going on, and there are so many more high priority people on the list, that I am like a nobody, literally, in the chaos. So it might be that I come back and they are like, oh, you did this. We are going to see it. We don't know about you, and they arrest me. Or even like it might causes a bit of a problem for my parents, but I don't think that's the case, because they cannot keep up with everything, right? Like the amount of negativity and the post on the social media and everything is so high. Like even in Iran, people within, like in Iran, they are doing activist protests, or they are putting stuff on social media. So The question is, if they are doing it in Iran, who is the priority?
Recently, the previous president died. And so now you have a new president.
Yay.
Do you feel... Yeah, it was funny because in the media, or even I heard the French president talk about how he's sorry about the Iranian people grieving. And I was thinking, I don't think they are.
No.
Not all of them, at least. And so, yeah, are you hopeful for this new chapter?
No. Because the name is also even democratic, like Islamic Republic of Iran. But a joke. Everything is a joke. Like, it's on paper, everything is, we are the best country in the world, and like election is right, blah, blah, blah. But no. Imagine it like this. There are three puppets. At the end of the day, they get through the system, they decide who is gonna be like the face of the elections. And they put them there, and people like say, oh, like, come here, like, we have these two options. And then usually one of them is the bad guy, and the other one is the slightly better guy. It's not that he's not the bad guy as well, but like, it's slightly better. And then at the end, it's going to be like the decision, do you want to choose between the bad or the worst? So come here. Otherwise, like, we are going to choose the worst for you, and then you're going to get blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I cannot confirm this nor say it for as a factual information. But I think majority of people which are really familiar with the situation in Iran, they think the same way, that elections are rigged over there 100%. And the outcome, it doesn't matter who you vote for. So it's going to be always the guy which is the puppet master and gets chosen.
We talked about Iran, you growing up in Iran, but now let's talk a bit more about you as an individual. You chose another song, which is Read My Name by Chris de Burgh. Specifically the lyrics, so don't give up and don't give in, just give it all instead, and raise your voice above the crowd and let them know you've said, I have been here, read my name, read my name. Why this choice? How do you relate to this song?
I'm gonna go chronologically a bit here. In Iran, like, we don't have streaming platforms like Spotify, Netflix available. They are filtered or they are not accessible. And also because of sanctions, like, people cannot even, like, if you say, I want this streaming platform, I want to be a member of it, there is no easy way to buy or subscribe to that platform because the banks are not connected to the rest of the world. And basically that means you cannot purchase or subscribe as easy as you think. And also it's super expensive. Minimum wage in Iran right now, like 200 euros.
A month.
A month. So 3 euros.
That is a lot.
Yeah. So put it this way, like even 3 euros. And also like Spotify here is like, I don't know, 12 euros, something. So let's say like this. And me and some other friends of mine, we decided, you know what, like, we are really into music. So we created a channel on Telegram. It was a music channel, and it was not covering Iranian music, but rather foreign to us, like meaning other languages other than Farsi. So we were covering that one, mainly English musics, and it ironically, like, the name of the channel also was called Foreign Musics. So if you guys go, still the channel is existing, like, but I haven't used it because I am in Europe, copyright, and also my brother is in Turkey, he's taking care of it, but like, he hasn't done much in the last 1.5 years because also over there, better not to. So let's say.
Okay.
So we were sharing musics over there, basically, and covering different genres of music. And we were growing really fast. Like, I think at one point we had 42,000 subscribers. Like,
wow.
Yeah, but then I stopped
Mostly people from Iran or from all over?
From Iran, like, because like, as I said, like, it's not easy to access
it was
music.
the only way to...
Yeah, and Telegram back then was not filtered. Now it's filtered. So it was a really easy way to access. And then like we created a group, not on a channel anymore, a group with 5,000 people that they answer one another's question, like say, oh, I need this music. Like, can you send it? Like everyone sharing. I think last time which I checked, we had an archive of like 1 million something songs like over there.
Okay.
Like, because like it's 5 years, right? Like imagine like 5-6 years of this group, and then people 24/7 sharing these songs. And then like, and I think it got so much that at the end it did not show the previous song. Like, I don't know, like, but it was a crazy situation over there. And then like the admins of that group, we had a separate channel for ourselves that we saved our favorite songs. And basically we had a list of songs that, oh, we like this or we like that. And I don't know if I did put this song in that list or someone else did it, but I think one day I was really down, like, don't remember the reason, honestly. It was a dark, gloomy, bloomy, whatever day in Iran. And then I did turn up the music in my car and listening, and this song played. And I was like, fuck, that's me. That's my situation. And the reason I resonate with this song a lot is because this is my feeling again. I don't want to put it on some other Iranians, but it feels like that for whatever reason and the situation is, we have to somehow prove ourselves here. Here meaning like in Europe, and also when we are in Iran, for fighting to come here for a better life, we have to prove ourselves, which makes sense to some extent, because like if you want to immigrate to another country, the other country wants someone which has a good background. They don't want someone which is going to be a weight to their country, rather someone which is building up. But it felt like whatever I do, I am not getting any feedback, and I have to fight and fight and fight until the end of my life to basically have the same rights of others and basically live a life which I thought I deserve. But anyway, I think right now the song still resonates with me a lot. But that emotional part, which I said that I have to fight, that I have to prove myself, it's not as strong as before, because I learned that life generally is about fighting. Like if you want something, you have to fight for it. Some things might come natural, but for me, life is like you have to fight for the things which you really want. Otherwise, if you get them super easily, you're not going to appreciate them as much, and you're not going to know their value.
So you turn this anger into a more rewarding feeling.
Yeah. Like now, like whenever I have a project, I think with myself that if it was easy, everyone would do it, right? Like I don't want to be this type of guys, like masculinity, like, oh, like go for it, like you can do it. No, but I mean, in a real sense, like if I am doing it, then I want to do something which it's not going to be like drinking a glass of water. Like, so it's what is rewarding. Like if you're super thirsty, drinking a glass of water is rewarding. But like if you drink it just for the sake of drinking it.
Still, I think, especially if you're talking as being someone from Iran living in Germany, I guess you still get this maybe sense of unfairness, because for me, for example, I just need to cross the border, show my French passport.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
Like I have it so easy just because I was born in France.
Yeah. That is relatively true. But That's life. Like it's not your fault that that's like that, and it's also not my fault that like was born in Iran. It also, I can say like this: I could have had it worse. We have regions in Iran that they are so in a bad situation that they need like clean water to survive. Have you ever seen these documentaries like about like Africa, some countries that they are starving, they don't have clean water and so on? Then the picture always like for everyone, it's like, oh, Africa. Not to be mean to people, like I know Africa, it's a big continent, like there are a lot of rich countries, but like you see a lot this documentary type of style. And I was like, oh, like this is so bad. I even like remember that I was so naive that I went to UNICEF office in Iran, said like, I want to go for 4 or 5 months to Africa, like help and blah, blah. And they say, yeah, well, whatever. You can go on our website. If there is a position available, you can do it or whatever. But the point was then later on, I realized like, I don't know as much about my own country that I thought, because there are locations in Iran that they are really bad. And then I could have been like born there. And now I am sitting with you in Munich, like talking about this, but someone else is there still having that life and they don't have the chance to escape that. I had the chance. I was lucky. So that is life. Some have it easier, some have it less easy. But the point is everyone is struggling in their own way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a matter of perspective. And
yeah. My feeling is that lots of things in this world, they are portrayed differently from what the reality is. The perception a lot of people, as an example, have because of the news outlets from Iran is that we joke about it actually a lot of times, like, oh, people in Iran, they travel with camels, like it's a big huge desert over there, and which is not wrong, but also it's not correct. Yeah. So that's why I'm trying to say, like, all this stuff which we say, like, they are doing a lot of good, but some of them is just speaking. Like, what happens, the after effect of it, how it does happen, it's not really transparent. So, like, you're like, what's the result of it? Also, some agencies, as an example, UN, they do a lot of great stuff, but they do also some nonsense stuff. I have an example. After this whole situation in Iran, they changed the head of Council of Human Rights, and they chose an Iranian guy from Iran's regime. And I was like, is this a joke? They killed thousands of people, incarcerated thousands of people, and then now you're putting the head of the council and representative of Iranian's regime? Like,
yeah, that doesn't make sense. And what message does it give to the Iran people?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we have heard you, but we have not listened. Do you have like a specific moment when this song really inspired you to not give up or to stand up for yourself?
As I said, like, there were nights which I had a really bad day. The lyric itself, like the whole overall lyric, helped me to feel a bit better. But the point, like, you also read it, like, read my name. It feels like I am trying to shout, like, to prove myself, to basically say, hey, world, look at me, I'm here. Don't deny me this privilege of being here. Just listen to me also. For once, listen to me and let me achieve what I'm meant to be achieving. And this doesn't mean to be in any sort of successful, like, billionaire or whatever, this type of mindset, but rather like to actually be useful in the society which you are living.
To prove your worth and do the work you've done and that you deserve to be here. And so never really targeted to a specific person, or it's really just society in general.
Yeah, exactly.
So you lived in different countries, and especially in Europe. Have you ever felt like people were treating you different because you were from Iran?
Yeah, sometimes. People sometimes treated me differently, but also lots of times they were really welcoming. So it has both sides. Yeah, I had bad experiences. I think everyone has experienced that, like regardless of nationality. Even if you go to Iran, you can have that bad experience. Also, I had great experiences. But sometimes, I feel it like that I am being treated differently or with another perspective, that because only I am coming from another country. But also, one thing which is not here to be forgotten, I am not fluent in German. That makes a really huge difference if you're fluent in the language of the country which you're living at. Because then when you respond back, then you realize maybe the reaction which you would have gotten was going to be different. And there is this barrier only because of the language.
Because maybe people think, oh, he's living here, but not even adapting.
Trying to learn the language. Like, you're in our country.
When there are other ways to adapt.
Interestingly enough, my girlfriend says to me, you are one of the most German persons which I know. And for her, resonating or being German means the way I drink the beers or like love German foods. And I go crazy about like German food and beer. Like, people might laugh, but like I love it.
Me too, yeah.
It's good. It's really good. And she says like, sometimes I cannot believe it, like you're not German. So
you're a true Bavarian now.
Yeah. So that's why I think being German or like living in Germany, it's not only speaking the language, but much more. But I mean, at the end of the day, language is a communication tool, right? So you have to be comfortable with it to be able to communicate. Because without a good communication, life is not going to be easy.
One question that maybe will feel out of context, but I will come back to it. Knowing you, I know that you are very proactive to offering your help. For the podcast, for example, I just told you about it and you were like, oh, what can I help with? Can I help with the communication, with the anything? And do you think it comes from where you're from, like your culture, your education, how your parents raised you, or is it just very true to yourself? Yeah.
Can I say a mixture of all of them?
Yeah, sure.
So, like, it is not one factor, but also I think generally whatever it is new around me intrigues me. Like, I like it. Like, I want to explore and see, like, even with you, like having a podcast, I was like, oh wow, that's an amazing idea. Like, how can I be part of that? Mainly, like, it's not about the selflessness, but the other points which you have mentioned are true to some extent. My parents always told me to give a hand to whomever needs it, although they might not ask for it. So this is important because people might not feel like it, not know they even need help, but not to be intrusive. Like, you offer it. If someone wants it, then they're going to come back on it. But if you push for it, doesn't seem right? And the other thing is cultural. Of course, people in Iran are also really hospitable. But we are really hospitable to a certain point. If you go there, like as a French person right now, you go to Iran, everyone is going to invite you to their home, their place, even with a limited amount of money, food, or whatever they might have. But if you overstay, they are going to be not treating you like this first day anymore, which makes sense to some certain point. But
yeah, they just don't want people to overuse this.
Yeah, but also I watched interestingly a vlog about a lady, Russian lady, which married to an Iranian guy and moved to Iran. And she was like, the first day when she went shopping, like for grocery, like everyone was like, oh, where are you from? Oh, like, but then after 2 months, people get used to you, right? Her perspective changed. People are not treating her the same way that they did in the first day. But like that's with everything, right? Like in the beginning, if something is new, you buy a new car. It's flashy, it's shiny, it's good. But then you use it, it becomes a car. It's a method of transportation at the end of the day. So I think that's the thing. I don't want to go too much to other topic, but I think, yeah, it's a mixture of different things. And parents, culture, society, the way I grew up, I think having good friends as well, like yourself. So it helps. Like if your good friend or someone asks you like, hey, what do you think about this? Like, can you give me a hand? Sure, why not?
So people still have to earn.
Oh, yeah, no, it's changing. Initially, it was not like that. Initially, I was like, oh, free for all. Like whoever comes, first come, first serve. But then I tried to change a bit because also my parents told me to. I remember when I was 20, 21, I was driving a lot in Tehran. Like public transport, by the way, I'm from Tehran, the capital. So like public transportation in general in Iran, it's too crowded. Like it is there, but it's not as good as Germany or other European countries. So driving is the easiest method. And my dad, I remember he sat down and told me like, so now you're a taxi driver. Like, and I was like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, basically you are every day some point of the city and picking up people like your friends and driving them somewhere else. And I said, no, like that's the way I can spend time with them, blah, blah, blah. But it got me thinking, am I like just giving them a ride? Do they see the value which I am bringing to the whole thing? Do they want me for me, or like, is it only because of the ride, let's say? It got me thinking a bit more. Still, my girlfriend complains about it. She thinks I am too generous in some regards, but I think now I am more.
Still, you build some boundaries, like some healthy boundaries.
I think so. I hope so.
Could it be because maybe you don't want people to feel how you felt according to this song? You know, is it why you could be
like that? Actually, it's interesting. Wow.
You didn't feel seen for your worth, and so you want people to not feel like you did.
I get it. Like I never saw it like that. Could be like I have to give it a bit of more thought. But now that you're saying it, I'm a bit shocked. Yeah, maybe my brain is like, oh, now like maybe I have a bit more freedom myself. I would give a hand to whomever asks me for it, but it's not gonna be a free for all anymore, because I know, for instance, I have changed in so many aspects. But yeah, could be.
How do you receive help? Do you ask for it?
I'm bad at that.
Of course.
I am.
It's always like that.
Super bad at that. At receiving emotions, even. My girlfriend, I tell her like, I love to kiss you, touch you, but when it comes to me, I'm always like a cat trying to escape from the situation. Like not always, but I am good at giving, but not receiving. And that's not the only thing. Needing help, like if you might have seen this, like, but don't tell the others. Oh, and now everyone is gonna know. But anyway, when I have to ask people something, like lots of people go straight to the point. Hey, Julia, tomorrow I want this. I want that. For me, it's such a pain to ask that. I always think like bother them. Like also, I don't want people to think that I only am asking or wanting them because of these favors or like thing. When I text you, I start with this. Hey Julia, how are you doing?
I'm exactly the same.
How was your weekend? Oh, like, did you have a great time? Even like my emails, like at work, is like that. Like I write, hi, blah, blah, blah. Hope that you had a great weekend. Everything going as well as you wanted it to be going. And then like I am putting like so many adjectives like behind and afterwards. And then like, it's part of the politeness and culture, but also like, I don't want them to feel like I am using you to reach to my goal, and I'm bad at that.
Yeah, like, by the way, would it be possible but if not, it's completely okay.
Yeah, although I'm dying and need that information or favor, but like, if possible, it's completely okay. But like, in reality, I'm sweating like, if she or he doesn't do this favor for me, I am gonna be so dead. But yeah. It's exactly like that.
I think it's a lot like this. Like when people offer a lot of their help, but they don't really receive it very well. Or
Could be.
Actually, I guess you're happy when you offer your help. And maybe the people also are happy to help you if you ask for it.
Yeah.
You know? But it's hard to see it and to just go straight to the point. And coming back on the song, so you told me that your dad told you about Chris de Burgh.
Yeah. My dad had a great impact on my music taste. My dad is a really big rock fan. AC/DC, Aerosmith, Metallica, all of these were Guns N' Roses. Honestly, I think if I would have grown up in another family or like someone else was my dad, I would never have known as many songs as I know right now about that. Because believe it or not, these bands, although they are super popular here in Europe, but because of this difference of culture, language, and other stuff going on, and also like censorship and blah, blah, blah in Iran, they are not as huge over there. So you have to be really looking for it over there to find it. And my dad, like listening to these bands back in the days, he was really into them. And also for a reference to show you how censorship was bad, there were cassettes, like, right? So the cassette tapes. And these tapes, like you could easily have copied them like in this radios. From one of them was A side, the other one B. And everyone back in the days in Iran, they did that to get their hands on the latest music or whatever.
It was the origin of burner CDs.
Exactly.
That we had.
Exactly. And my dad was telling me also that this morality police, which we talked in the beginning, 35, 40 years ago, they had stations. They did blockades on the street. You drove through with your car. They stopped you, check if you have any foreign music tapes or any illegal Iranian songs, and they could have gotten you to the court, to the jail. Just imagine that, like you say, like what, like this is also a bit how everything got better now. Like you can share music, but they don't care because like now it counts as a minor offense. But back in the days, it was like a big deal. Like if you listen to AC/DC, like they are
music from hell.
Yeah, exactly. Like some sort, or not just they were foreigners. And
it was for that, just because it was.
Yeah, like also
Okay.
like it's about music from hell, but also whatever was Western influenced by the West. It's like the best way to portray it, maybe a bit of a communist way, let's say, like that type of influence. We do not want the influence of West nor East, but he had a really great impact on my taste of music. Like I listened to these songs, I remember clearly, like when we were going on road trips with my dad, he would play it, and also he played some Chris de Burgh songs. as well. But strangely, never this one. They read my name. He was always supportive. And this year in Munich, we had the AC/DC concerts, and I wanted to bring him, but it didn't happen. Yeah, but like, I appreciate whatever he has done for me in this regard. And also, I appreciate my mom. Not that still, like, she had a greater impact or the same amount of impact in my life. But yeah, not in the music.
On other topics.
Yes.
And so, yeah, you actually think that it influenced your relationship with your dad and got you closer and actually,
like
you bonded.
That was one of the bonding tools, let's call it. My dad sometimes might seem rough, or like I think our generation and the previous generation, it was a bit like that the dad had to be the bad cop, or also be a bit portraying the strong man of the family household. Like lots of things have changed.
Showing less emotions.
Yeah.
That's pretty universal.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe like he was trying to teach me the way his dad thought. We had a lot of conversation afterwards, like in the last few years, that you get wiser at any age. Like my dad also, in comparison to 20 years ago when I was growing up, like he's a different person right now than 10, 20 years ago. So,
and it was a bit his love language to share that with you.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Like,
every other parent, right? Like if you see in the smallest way, people are going in the same footsteps or taking the same footsteps, you like it. You say like, oh, this is my kid. Although I don't have any kids myself, I think so. I hope so. That's, I think, how it is, right?
Well, on this actual lighter note, I think we can conclude this episode. Thank you very much, Arash. For those listening, I hope it could help you maybe to know more about the Iranian situation. If you don't know anything about it, you can start by listening to this song, and if you type it on the internet, you will find a lot of information about it. Thank you very much, Arash.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
For everyone listening, if you like the episode, you can always leave a review. Follow me on Instagram at IntoTheCavePod. And I will talk to you again next week with new hard-hitting lyrics. And meanwhile, as always, be kind to yourself. Bye!